I'm Harold Boyd, and I'd have trouble being anybody else. I have a reputation of being kind of isolated in my studio life. I'm not very open to visitors, let me put it that way. But I think for a number of years I cheated myself because my subject matter is about us, all of us. That is the material I work with. And then to hide it and not have the public, who I am saying is my subject, not experience it is, I think, even wrong. And so as time has gone by, I have taken more and more opportunities to exhibit my work because I think that's where it belongs. People should, I'd like them to see it, I think they should see it, and I'd like them to have it and own it. I had never had a drawing class in my life, and I thought an artist has to know how to draw. That was about the only thing I had to do, was to become competent at drawing. So the printmaking was essentially, I knew enough to see this is a graphic media. And so I could, because I had worked and worked and worked at drawing, so I made them match each other in my latter work, in my MFA work, and my graduation. And so after graduating with an MFA degree at the University of Kansas, I looked like others who thought teaching was something they might want to do. I started applying to schools for positions, and to make it short, I sent my materials all. I had heard that Illinois State University was expanding many programs and lots of fresh people to fill the population that was growing. So I got a position here teaching all the drawing classes that Illinois State University taught in their curriculum. Many years was focused eventually, after the beginning, was a lot of life drawing. But I actually started the print program about around 1968. So whether it's printmaking, I will have some printmaking in the exhibition. I will have some straightforward drawings in the exhibition, and some minimal amounts of color, but my color tends to be very muted when I use paint, and in that sense it kind of holds the line of being a pretty dominated graphic artist. But in 1990 I decided that, well, it was a result of giving up my position as a printmaking faculty member. I wanted to spread media out, and so I decided I wanted to try some 3D work, which I had never done. And so for the next maybe 4 or 5 years, I experimented doing figurative work, because human beings are essentially the theme of my whole career. An evolution of that over years, but it started very early for me, because by the middle or even early in the 70s, I decided I was going to make human beings my subject. And I have stayed with that. So the exhibition will have people, because they are my landscape, so to speak. I tend to work with subjects, and those subjects come from people I know, They're not portraits in the literal sense of that. They're experiences with them. And in addition to that, I have selected things from literature of various kinds that were inspiring to me, and a tendency to do a sequence. It's like if the idea is good, maybe a few more might make it better. And so one of the projects in my exhibition is based on my children when they were young, playing in the fields of McLean County, where we lived in the country. And my daughter, I think she was 9 when she was introduced to Alice in Wonderland. I took Alice in Wonderland as a thematic project of my kids discovering in their own imagination things that was poking up out of the original Alice. And so one side of the wall on my exhibition in the gallery is that very sequence of pieces. Another one that will be in the exhibition is called At the Foot of Grandmother's Lap. That's just a personal title of mine. But what the intent was to have some images that were characteristics of young children. They're lively and lovely and sometimes not, and sometimes worried about going to bed and finding wind, or now it would be air conditioning, whipping the curtains around. It can be scary at night for a child. So the other thing characteristic of this group in the series is that my own drawing is my own drawing, but stylistically I tried to pretend, if you will, as being more like a child drawing. And so, besides their titles, in the 6 that are in the show, some of them are about children being afraid, but some of them are about the delight of being a child, and they're happy. An ongoing characteristic of my work is that it embodies a lot of illustration, that it has illustrative qualities. When I start a project, it's because I have told myself my own story. It might be about a person or something I read or whatever. So it embodies me with wanting to do something about that. But in its final product, it isn't for the viewer to see my story. If you see portraits of people, but they aren't maybe even a likeness, what I'm after is the illustrative characteristics offers the viewer the opportunity visually to see aspects of whatever story they can pull from it and enjoy from or be afraid of, okay? And so I don't shy away as illustration having a strong merit in my vocabulary.